Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great.
Hi everybody, my name is Matt and this is What Matters to Matt. Now on this channel I try to share with you the things that I'm doing to be the best I can be for the most important thing in my life, which is my family. I say that in so many of my videos, and honestly I truly mean that, but I think there's sometimes when I feel a lot more comfortable if I don't share with you everything in terms of how things are going, whether that be in my personal life or in training. Today, I've been trying to make this video for a while now. If you do follow my channel, you will notice it's been a couple of weeks at least since I've put out a video, and that is for some very specific reasons, and it does have to do with my training, which hasn't been doing absolutely perfect. And today I just unscripted. I didn't really think about what I was going to say in this video like I do in most of my videos. Just unscripted really on what I'm going to say, describe for you how things are going. If you have been a follower of my channel, first of all, thank you. Welcome back. If you are new to my channel and you think you're going to like some of my videos, head on over to my channel and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button down below. But let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so here's the thing. I am training for my first ever marathon. I've never run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, none of that stuff. I have been going to the gym quite a bit over the last couple of years. It was just a few years ago now, if you don't know my story, that I decided that I needed to make another number of changes in my life, and one of them was to work on my physical health and my mental health with the ultimate goal of just being the best that I can be for my family, and I truly mean that. But a lot of times when I put out some of these videos, even though I say that I want to share with you my experiences, there's a little bit of pressure to always kind of try to share the good things, the positives, and not talk about the negatives. And not that these are overly negative, they're not super serious, but they do affect my goals. And my goal is to run, finish, and hopefully do decently well for my first marathon coming up here in May. So I want to talk about the last couple of weeks. It was probably 2.5 weeks ago now. Things are going really well. And I had put out a video before about how it was really interesting how somebody who thought that I was not going to be able to be a runner because of bad knees, that following the right plan and doing the right things helped me out, helped me become a runner, helped me feel like I was a runner and I could be successful in doing some sort of an endurance thing, become an endurance athlete, at least hit my own benchmarks for that. And since then, I've had a few niggles. I've had a few doubts in my mind, and a lot of that does stem back to the last couple of weeks and how my training is going. So here it is. About 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, maybe by the time this video hits, but I was going along well, but we started to get a lot of snow. I live in Eastern Canada. We get a lot of snow, ice, rain, really strange swings in weather, but we started to get a lot of snow, and we had a snowstorm on a Saturday. My long runs are generally on Sundays, so I woke up Sunday morning, shoveled out the driveway, was really tired after that, actually felt like it was not a good idea to go on my long run. So I bagged my long run for that day and actually moved it to the following Wednesday, which just happened to be the next day that I had enough time to do that long run. Also, another reason why I share a lot of this stuff is that I think there's so many people out there that can relate to me. I'm a busy dad, that I actually have 2 jobs. I teach and I also work at a gym. But I have a couple of kids and a wife that I try to spend some time with whenever I can, but I'm a busy dad. So taking on goals like this, having these goals in mind of training for a marathon, something that can take a lot of your time and you can lose some sleep over just to get these goals or get the training in. It can be a struggle. So that's, again, one of the reasons why I really share these videos. But anyways, got up Sunday, shoveled out the driveway, didn't go for my long run. Then eventually the next Wednesday, went for my long run. Then just trying to keep on plan. I didn't change anything else from that week. That Sunday, I had another long run. That Sunday in particular was very interesting for me because that long run was 19.5 kilometers. I'm following the Higdon Intermediate 1 program. And I have never run a half marathon. And if you do the conversion, that's really, really close to a half marathon. The 13.1 miles, or I think it's 13.1, or the 21.1, 21.1, 21.2. It's almost 21.2 that I have in my head, kilometers. And anyways, I was so close to that. On that day, I got super excited halfway through the run. The run was going fairly well, even though the weather wasn't great. So I pushed myself, having known that I ran really hard earlier in the week with that extra long run, being sandwiched close to that. And came out of that super excited. Made those posts on Facebook and post on Strava. And yay, my first ever half marathon unofficially, but my first ever time running that distance. Everything was awesome. Felt a little sore, got up Monday and felt even more sore. And it's amazing how quickly I went from being super pumped, super excited, super motivated to not really being that motivated at all. I was starting to get these little niggles and I was starting to doubt myself. And for a couple of very specific reasons, where it was my first marathon training, where this is the first time that I'm going through this, I'm still struggling a little bit with reading how my body should feel. Lifting weights in the gym, I'm used to what sort of muscle soreness, what indicates that I need to take a break or steer away from something. Running's quite a bit different. Those endurance, listening to your body in terms of how your joints feel, quite a bit different than listening to your body in terms of just how your muscles feel from lifting weights. So started to have some doubts, ended up missing a couple of runs for the last couple of weeks, a couple of runs a week for the last couple of weeks, actually even missed a long run, which in my mind and in most folks who are training for a marathon, who are trainers or are putting 80 marathon plans together, the one run that you probably shouldn't miss is the long run. So I did miss the long run. This week though, feeling really, really good, really motivated. I'm back on track. That extra rest honestly did help. But it makes me a little bit nervous. But that's why I share this stuff with you, so maybe you can relate. But I'm back on track, feeling really good. I'm about to, today, I've got the day off work, both jobs, amazingly. I'm about to go on a shortish mid-range run for me, a little bit over 10.5 kilometers. Just an easy run, nothing too insane, but really, really pumped about where I'm at. What I want to say is that there's a couple of adjustments that I think I'm probably going to make right now. One of them has to do with Strava. Now, Strava, I've got a lot to say about Strava, so I'm not going to dive too far into it in this video. I'll talk about it a lot more in another video where I talk specifically about Strava. But I think what I'll probably do is not share quite as much information on Strava for a week. I'm going to give myself a week to sort myself out in my own head. Now, let me explain exactly what I mean by that. And by the way, probably the most awkward time to share this, but I will put my Strava and I will put my Instagram down below. Join me on my journey. I will join you on your journey. We can give each other kudos. We can give each other likes, all that fun stuff. But what I do want to say about Strava is that at least for the next week, I'll probably just be sharing my distance. What has happened to me over the last number of weeks, or ever since I started to get into running and started tracking my workouts on Strava, is that I've been really caught up in the numbers game. I joined Strava and immediately kind of gravitated towards those folks that were clearly far more advanced runners than me, because that's kind of what you do. You seek out the people, the experts, especially for me when I'm new at something. I seek out those folks that are incredible. And so when comparing myself to them, which I shouldn't do, compare yourself to yourself, but it takes a mental toll. So for a lot of my runs, that half marathon as well, but a lot of my runs that are meant to be easy runs, I don't take them nearly as easy as I should. To the point where in a few of them, shamefully, and again, I can't believe I'm admitting this to camera, but it's more of hopes that some of you can relate, is that I hid my heart rate on those runs, because they've been meant to be easy runs. They're obviously meant to be easy runs, but I run them a little bit faster than I should, and I've hid my heart rate, because you can do that on Strava. For the next week, if you tune in, if you join me on Strava, probably the only thing that you will see on my runs is my actual mileage. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just take a day or two for me to get over this, but the only thing that you will see is my actual mileage. Also, in terms of when I'm out on the run, and this is the other part where I need to just work on myself a little bit. What's funny is when I'm out there and I'm in that zone 2, that keep my heart rate probably around 145, between 145 and maybe 149 for me. And I'm not feeling like I'm pushing the pace that much. When I look down and I get an update on what my pace is, and it looks like I'm going a little bit slower than I feel like I should be, I start upping the pace, and then all of a sudden I look down and my heart rate's a little bit high, so I slow down the pace. And when my heart rate gets in control, I look down and I see the pace, and I'm going too slow. So I've really got to work on that. I've really got to figure out mentally, kind of check into my easy runs need to be easy. That's what they're there for. And if you are new, if you're just starting on your running journey, or maybe for that seasoned veteran, I think the one reminder that's going to help me out the most in terms of taking my easy runs easy is so that I can take my hard runs hard. I find that when you're trying to do anything tempo or any intervals or fartleks, or even if you're just running at marathon pace, it's really hard to gauge how you should feel or how you should be doing on those if you're worn out from not taking your easy runs easy, not building up that base, not putting in the mileage the way you're supposed to put it in. So really, when it comes to Strava, that's it for now. I want to talk about it more in another video because I think there's obvious benefits to Strava as well. That's why I share my Strava with you. That's why I want to join you on your journey. But for now, that's all I got to say about Strava. Now, I think it's important to highlight when I talk about the challenges or the things that I've had difficulty with in my training, I don't want them to be seen as excuses. They are more like challenges to me, or barriers that have been created where I feel like I need to make pivots on how I work on my training. They do me a lot of good. They serve me a purpose. As long as I recognize them early enough, things don't go too far off the rails. There's a point to them. And so they're not necessarily excuses. Bad weather, having people paying attention to what I'm doing on Strava and not dealing with those as well as I feel I should. Yeah, they're not excuses. They're just barriers or challenges that I have in front of me that I need to make pivots for. And that kind of plays really well into the other thing that I did want to touch on today. I will put a whole video out there about Mother Nature and the weather and how that's been affecting my training, probably several videos, unless the weather drastically changes over the next month or so. But I will say that one of the other things that I have to do when it comes to running those easy runs easy and those hard runs hard is pay really close attention to my heart rate and my perceived effort and really kind of ignore the pace. It's interesting as somebody, I don't want to say completely ignore the pace because you can never completely ignore the pace, especially if you're trying to do something at marathon pace. But I will say that it's interesting, somebody who's doing their first ever marathon training, that I really have no really clear idea that if I had a clear road out there, decent weather, by clear road, no snow and ice, no slush, none of that garbage, it's kind of making it a little bit harder to run without a lot of effort and it being a little bit uncomfortable. It really has to be about effort. I believe that, and there's lots of evidence out there that suggests that your training should mostly or effort should be a big part of it. Because when you're talking about an easy run, body doesn't really care about pace. Your body does not have any internal GPS. That's just what the watch is telling you. But your body does care about how hard your heart is beating, how hard those muscles are working. So really paying attention to the effort. It's going to be really interesting whether I'm even in the ballpark of where I should be once the weather kind of clears up and we start to get some better road conditions, some better sidewalks, some better trail conditions out there, because I don't know, this is my first time doing this sort of thing. So it's going to be really, really interesting, but putting effort first and pace, sort of keeping an eye on it, but not making that kind of drive what I'm doing, because Mother Nature makes it difficult. Okay, so as I'm recording this video, I 100% understand that it's a little bit rambly, and that's for good reason. One reason is that I've struggled so much in thinking about what I was going to put out for this video. I've actually tried recording it a couple of different times just because it's a little uncomfortable to come in here and talk about the struggles I've been having and where I might have faltered a little bit in my training. But that's the point, sharing all that with you. So if you did like this video and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I'll put another video up here where I talk a little bit more about my training and the actual training plan that I'm doing. My name is Matt. This channel is called What Matters to Matt. And ultimately, I'll say it again, what matters to me most is my family. And I will see you in the next one.